Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Donald Trump, Charlie Kirk, RFK Jr., Tina Peters, Jared Polis, Brad Little, and we're just getting started. Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. It is a freedom-loving, fantastic, faith-filled, we're taking America back, one heart, one mind, one issue at a time Friday. And man, have we got all kinds of news the networks refuse to use queued up for you. The good doctor, Scott Bradley, is with me. freedomsrisingsun.com, his incredible website. His incredible weekly webinars every Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Mountain, available if you go to if you go to freedomsrisingsun.com, you can get a ticket to ride and check that out. The webinars every Thursday night. He takes Q&A from the public. What do you want to know? What do you want to ask about? What's constitutional? What's not? The list goes on, and that's where we get some of these names from that I mentioned at the start of the show. Doctor, welcome back, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. You know, it's it's interesting to me that every Friday, it's kind of a recap of what has happened throughout the week. And
yes, sir.
It's a plethora of stir that happens. There's no limit. I mean, we don't have time to even superficially scratch the surface. So I guess we'll do the best we can. But mano, there's a mile a minute. I mean, that was probably quite vogue 100 years ago. A mile a minute's nothing now.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. But Pam Bondi gets sacked by Donald. Deputy AG Todd Blanche takes over in the interim. Doctor?
Well, it's true. I mean, and I think it was time for Pam to go. In fact, it was maybe
I think
never
it was time for her never to have been hired in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was never time for her to be there. But I think that there was just a whole stack of things that happened in the past year plus that, and some of the stuff that most recently happened, there was an acrimonious appearance before the House Judiciary Committee. She's been subpoenaed to the House Oversight Committee about Epstein files. I think she handled the Epstein files so poorly, but it may be in protection of high-level people that, I mean, there's all this, cloak and dagger stuff that's always there. But to say initially, hey, I've got a whole list of clients on my desk and a big nothing burger, nothing. Plus, I think Trump got kind of a little impatient. I'm trying to be nice about this. I think she got marching orders to go after some of these people that had prosecuted Trump, and they went nowhere when she pursued them. I mean, James Comey, nothing happened. Leticia James. Now, there's grand juries. There's protections in there. And the grand juries said, no, we're not going to pursue this kind of stuff. This idea that she was supposed to, Trump threw the word treason out there. And of course, that's pretty well defined in the third article of the Constitution.
Very high bar set, just so you know.
Say again?
Very high bar set, by the way.
No, there's no question. And most people that, talk on the radio or visit with their friends in the pub or whatever, toss it around as if it's just this, thing you cross the road to do. And the king used to do that, but the founding fathers did not want that kind of onerous thing hanging over everyone's head all the time. But Trump wanted her to go after some of these Congress critters, these 6 of them, who advised the military personnel not to follow unlawful orders, which was totally, completely, 100% appropriate.
Correct.
And it's in the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's in international protocols. I mean, all of that stuff, but Trump wanted them hanging from the noose.
And it ought not be for the terms that you bring up and the reasons that Trump kind of suggested it, although I do believe there should be real action and real prosecutory measures taken when it comes to people like, Fauci facade. Anthony Fauci and company like that. And see, we're not even talking about those people. We're not even addressing those concerns. Same thing with a lot of the people like Hillary Clinton that literally created the Russian dishonest dossier lies, and Obama spying on President Trump as a candidate and as president and things like this. There are destroying of files like Hillary and Bill did, and these guys, there are criminal actions or activities that ought to be actionable. But they're not even talking about that stuff. And that's kind of the problem. It's a mixed bag. On one hand, we would defend saying, you have every right to say, hey, let's not follow unlawful orders. At the same time, these other criminal activity issues just being swept under the rug. Take January the 6th, for example. Hey, you know what? The government literally attacked the people, and it was primarily a peaceful event until the government started attacking people. Then they murdered Ashley Babbitt. Okay, these things need to be prosecuted. These actions need to be taken on. The point that I'm getting at, though, is the issues that Donald wanted action on. Well, they have every right to say that. First off, freedom of speech. Secondarily, it's appropriate not to follow unlawful. Let me say it again. Unlawful orders, Doctor.
Well, and everything you bring up, I wished we had about 5 or 6 hours so that we could talk about all of these things. I mean, literally, truthfully, there is
but the
criminal
American
activity.
people's attention span done turned off, buddy.
That's another problem with Americans right now. I mean,
Yes, sir.
think about this. They say, if you can't put it on the back of a business card, it's not worth reading. Well, okay, so let's look at the Federalist Papers, those 85 essays. My opinion, they're way too truncated, because I would have loved to have more meat to chew on while we go through those. Virtually no Americans have ever read those things, and they explain in excruciating detail, at least as limited detail as, to me, it's a limited detail.
Well, the founders understood an appropriate balance, which means, it was kind of like when I was a little kid, I was told this. I always would say to my teacher, how long does my paper need to be? Come on, because I didn't want to, write. I wasn't a great writer. And how long does it? And it'd always smile, and it'd be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover the subject, short enough to keep it interesting, young man. And and so the founders did understand a balance. That's why the Constitution isn't pages and pages. That's why the Ten Commandments isn't very long. You don't need a lot of wording for people to clearly understand principles if done right. Even in modern days when they have collegiate, essays and stuff, they're like, write this in less than 200 words. They're doing it on purpose to make you really boil down your thoughts to the essentials. And I'm not saying that we need everything done in 30 seconds like a soundbite, but I am saying that there is an appropriate idea. It's very easy to write long prose. It's hard to write tight, short, effective, every word count prose. Anyway, so I think that the founders understood that balance quite well, Doctor.
Well, and I'll take one example. And again, me, I like to tell you how to build the clock, but one of my doctoral classes, the assignment was to read all 20 volumes of the Berg writings of Thomas Jefferson, 20 volumes for one class, and write one 3-page paper. If you don't think that it was a stretch of my imagination to truncate, such a magnificent insight into one of the most brilliant men that certainly was walking the earth at that time, and maybe at any time on the earth. And I don't want to put him above any of the divine that you might have come to mind, but the fact of the matter is, he was incisive and brilliant and all those kinds of things that he did. He tended to be a little bit more verbose, like I am. And perhaps I kind of got a little bit of that from reading all 20 volumes of his collected works. But to write a 3-page, what I did honestly is I focused it on his perspective on freedom of religion. And we don't need to get sidetracked on this thing, but the fact was that was one of the things that was central to his life that he was most proud of. He got the Religious Liberties Act passed in Virginia, which was a precursor to the First Amendment. and that, along with the Declaration of Independence, the starting of the University of Virginia, those things were the things he was most pleased with about his life. So I focused on his religiosity.
Is the governor of all religion, of all freedom, if you really want to, understand it. You got freedom, which is the ability to do anything you want to. And then you've got liberty, which is saying, hey, using that freedom wisely, according to God's laws, that's liberty, proper application. It's kind of like wisdom is the proper application of knowledge, kind of a thing. And so it's important to realize that boiling things down, critically important. Trump gave a Iran war update address, if you will. And believe it or not, the president spoke under 20 minutes. I think that's a first, Doctor. Speaking of shortening things up a little bit, huh?
There was a lot of hype leading up to that. It was almost like, the State of the Union address is going to hit us again, and this time it's going to be something as substantive as war. And I looked forward to that with great anticipation. I wanted answers. Ho-hum, where's the beef? A rehash.
Yeah, you ready for my headline for that?
Go ahead, but I guess we got a break.
Big talk, bigger trackback. Trump makes America look weak. We'll talk about it with Dr. Bradley in seconds. FreedomsRisingSun.com. You are listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began. Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
Back with you live, Dr. Scott Bradley with me. War talk, market shock. Oil explodes. Stock market down as Trump continues to demand more attacks, more bombing, more strikes. Of course, the war is almost over, but we have more than 50,000 troops in the region, Doctor.
You know, every single aspect of what he spoke about in that 20 minutes was a disappointment. There was no clarity that was delivered in regard to the causes, the metrics that we're supposed to have for this. How are we going to measure when it's open? What are we expecting to achieve? Why did we go into it? All of this kind of stuff. It's been a moving target the entire time. And his completely bizarre discussion about the Straits of Hormuz. Oh, it'll open naturally. Well, you know, and we don't need their oil and all. Yeah, the problem is our oil prices have gone up with the world prices because we sell on a world market, and that's the way it is. It's driving our prices up. It's going to destroy our economy. The fertilizer of the world is not available anymore. I mean, everything. I think, listen to this, Sam. I mean, just talk about this. We got the biggest, baddest Navy in the world, right? Not one U.S. naval ship has gone through the Straits of Hormuz. And why is that? Because it's too blasted, and I emphasize blasted, dangerous. If we lost one of our, I mean, certainly we're not going to put a carrier through it, but what if we put one of the cruisers through it, or some kind of, one of the kind of support vehicles through there, and it ended up on the bottom. I mean, that is going to be bizarre.
Well, they claim there's a bunch of underwater mines and all that kind of stuff. And my response is, can't you send, some type of small boats that could go through there, and you just lose the boats, but you blow up the mines, and can't you send enough through there to disable a lot of it? And anyway, it just seems like there would be a better way.
Well, but here's what it seems like to me: somebody would have thought of that. This choke point, everybody's
not very smart, but I'm telling you, if it's that small of a choke point like they're claiming, all you got to do is send through a bunch of throwaway boats that are unmanned and just send them through there and let the boats get destroyed and blow up a lot of the mines, and then we control it. If we've really decimated their missile capabilities like Donald Trump claims, and if we've really taken out their Navy completely and everything else, then we should easily be able to make sure those mines are blown up to where it's not dangerous.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But here's the deal, my friends, it's about to get interesting. Some of you are old enough to remember the 1956 war that occurred over the Suez Canal. And there's this little thing called the Red Sea, and there's this little thing called the Straits of Tiran and the Gulf of Aqaba, the Suez Canal War, all that kind of stuff. The Houthis, they're right there at the beginning of that choke point. They're right there on the southern peninsula of Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And if they start choking that off, it will be a devastating effect, even maybe more expansive than the Hormuz thing. I mean, these kinds of things, I have to wonder who was sitting doing their tabletop ordinances and their tabletop reviews and don't ask that question, it's too hard or whatever. Why did we not think some of these things through?
I think that some people are ignorant and don't know the details, and they just bought off on the lies, and the other ones want war.
Well, that's likely true, but here's the deal: there has to be a negativity. Now, people say sometimes I get too negative, but if you don't ask the hard questions and demand reasonable answers that are well thought out, you're going to step in a lot of stuff that you don't want to step in.
There's got to be a way to go underwater and trigger all those mines. And if we control the missile technology, and if we have basically Navy or naval, whatever you want to call it, and air superiority, it should be fairly easy to open the Straits of Hormuz, Doctor.
It's not. I know, but
it's not because they have better technology than we're being told. Because, I can go on and on and on for the reasons, but the fact is we're being lied to when it comes to the reality on the ground or in the water, right?
Here's the deal, Sam. We got, maybe 10,000 people we've sent over there along with the 40 or 50,000 we already had.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure they're going to be able to get within 700 miles of the Straits of Hormuz. And here's why. Because that whole northern coastline of that waterway is following the Iran boundaries. There's about 1.5 million people that live there. And if you put your little drones in there, every garage or whatever that's there, they can launch. And these drones, they're very low cost, and they're very hard to defend against if you do a swarm of them. And so I'm not so sure they're going to be able to get this 10,000 troop Marine. I don't know what all they're going to.
So the question is, did we underestimate their little speedboats and their little drones and their ability to shut things down, or did we know it full well and go into it headlong on purpose? Is the real hard question you got to ask, right?
Well, and I think it's such a critical issue to the whole world economy that whoever gets the strait open, I think they're going to have their gravitas in the entire world have a lot more stock. You're going to find that whoever is able to do that, because the 28th of February, it was open, and it's not now. And Trump basically said, oh, don't worry, it's going to open naturally, everything's going to be cool, and then he's going out and bombing the snot out of these guys to the point that their resistance is growing. Look, Sam, Iran is the size of France, Germany, Spain, and the British Isles. Now, think back about World War II and the slugfest that happened across those territories. The years it took to claw back what Hitler had taken with his blitzkrieg. And the fact of the matter is that this is a big chunk of ground There's
Yep,
92
which tells me
million
it's
people.
the latter. It was done intentionally, knowing the risks, knowing the problems, knowing what would happen, and doing it anyway. Benjamin Netanyahu and company love war and murder and destruction, and they've drugged Donald into it. Now, I don't know if he was wise enough to understand it all or not. Can't say at this point, but you've got whacked out pro-war, pro-military industrial complex people in the United States who are more than willing to partner with Netanyahu on this thing. And I'm convinced that, I don't know who knew what when. That's something we really ought to start putting people on the stand about. But at the end of the day, the fact is we're in it, and I don't think getting out of it. Trump said we were going to be out of it right when it started in a couple of weeks. Now it's already been 5 weeks, and he's predicting, 2, 3, 4 more? I'm predicting it's going to be longer than that. And what does it mean when we say we get out of there? We get out, we say we're not fighting anymore because there's a ceasefire, but we leave 50,000 plus people in the region? Is that what we do?
Trump is up against a timeline here, too. They got a 60-day congressionally authorized, you can go in and screw everybody over for 60 days.
Yeah, but he's got longer than that now because Congress has already rejected reining him in. So now that timeline, I believe, will be manipulated.
Clinton, in the Bosnian War, ignored the congressional limit and their actual demand that he stop the bombing.
And he should be in prison for it.
Here's his logic, though, Sam, and it's been a precedent set, and I'm pretty confident that Trump's going to do it. He's going to say, we have funding to do this. This is what Clinton said. You authorized funding for this, and that is permission. And since we have funding, we're going to continue the operation. Well, they've got $1 trillion in the defense budget. Is he going to say, I can equate that to funding?
Well, and he's going to have a $1.5 trillion if he gets his way for 2027 as well. So, this is the problem, and then Congress won't be able to rein in the president, and there we go. I don't know what it means to say when we're not at war with somebody versus when we are. We never declare wars, so we're always kind of at war. We always fund military operations around the world. What are we in, 130-plus nations militarily speaking right now? And so to me, I don't even know what the end of this war means per se, Doctor. What does that really even mean?
No. Here's my perspective. I know we got to take a break here real quick for the bottom of the hour in the news, but my perspective is you broke it, you bought it. This is something we're going to have to own up to, and it's something that I don't know as the Americans are really willing to pay the price that will be exacted if this thing is brought to closure.
Well, whether we're willing or not, we're going to be forced to is the problem.
Well, there's going to be, problem is, we throw our people into harm's way. I mean, that Lindsey Graham, he never saw a scrape in the world he didn't want to get some Marines killed in. Oh, we took Iwo Jima. Well, yeah, it took 7,000 Marines' lives, and it killed and wounded 20,000 of them. We're talking, this is a horrific bloodbath, and somebody that's willing to go in there and say, magic wand, we don't care. These are human beings, and we're killing other human beings, and we do it with our Tomahawk missiles on little girls' schools while we're in this process. I mean, this whole thing is a bloody mess.
And now we're bombing all kind of things which could be civilian rich as Trump continues his advances. We're starting to talk about all kinds of civilian capabilities. We just, blew up a bridge now, we're told, and stuff like that, the tallest bridge in the region.
The humanity cost, but think about the infrastructure it's trillions of dollars of damage.
Then we're going to help rebuild, I'm sure, when we're done, aren't we?
Oh, U.S. taxpayers are good for the bill, aren't we? Holy cow.
Well, we're $38 trillion in debt, and it's only growing at a rapid rate, so I doubt it anytime soon.
Yeah.
But speaking of the loss of life, bullet fragments in the Charlie Kirk assassination flat out do not match the rifle. What I don't understand is we knew that last, September when this all went down, and we're just hearing about it and talking about it now as the sheriff in St. George, Utah, or Washington County, he got called in to discuss a few things, and a couple hours later, the guy resigned. We'll talk about it all in seconds with Dr. Scott Bradley. There's so many hot topics in the news, it's hard to even know which ones to cover. But we've got to cover this one because that might mean the whole case goes up in smoke. Hang tight. I'm Sam Bushman, Dr. Scott Bradley with me, freedomsrisingsun.com, libertyroundtable.com. You are listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.